VP Sara's impeachment trial continuations. VP Sara Duterte responds to impeachment trial summons. Sara Zimmerman Duterte Carpio, commonly known as Indy Sara, is a Filipino lawyer and politician who is the 15th and current Vice President of the Philippines. She is the third female Vice President, and the third Vice President to come from Mindanao, and the youngest Vice President in Philippine history. A daughter of the 16th President Rodrigo Duterte, she previously served as the mayor of Davao City from 2016 to 2022, and from 2010 to 2013. She was also Davao City's vice mayor from 2007 to 2010. Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte holds a press conference at a hospital in Quezon City, Metro Manila on November 26, 2024. Duterte on November 26 denied she was plotting to kill President Ferdinand Marcos, saying recent comments that sparked a government probe only reflected consternation with her one-time ally. Vice President Sara Duterte responded Monday to her Senate impeachment trial summons hours before the deadline, demanding the case against her be dropped. The House of Representatives impeached Duterte in early February on charges of graft, corruption, and an alleged assassination plot against one-time ally and former running mate President Ferdinand Marcos. A guilty verdict in the Senate would result in her removal from office and permanent disqualification from politics. A copy of Duterte's reply to the summons delivered by messenger to House prosecutors on Monday afternoon called the complaint against her an abuse of the impeachment process. There are no statements of ultimate facts in the impeachment complaint. Stripped of its factual and legal conclusions, it is nothing more than a scrap of paper, the response read. It goes on to deny the allegations made against her as false and state that the Senate's decision to remand the case to the House earlier this month removed her responsibility to answer them. Duterte is currently on a trip to Australia where she is meeting with Filipino supporters. Her summons was issued on June 10 after an hours-long Senate session that saw lawmakers convene as an impeachment court only to send the case back to the House, a decision one lawmaker called a functional dismissal. Barely 24 hours later, the House complied with the senior body's order to certify the constitutionality of the impeachment. Duterte allies in the Senate had argued that earlier complaints heard in the House without a vote counted as multiple impeachment hearings within a single year, a violation of the country's 1987 Constitution. House prosecutors now have 5 days to respond to the Vice President's answers. Her trial is not expected to start until the new Senate convenes on July 28. The impeachment complaint against the Vice President focused on a death threat she made against the President, his wife and the House Speaker last year, irregularities in the use of her office's intelligence funds and her failure to stand up to Chinese aggression in the disputed South China Sea. She said in an online news conference on November 23 that she had contracted an assassin to kill Marcos, his wife and Romualdez if she were killed, a threat she warned wasn't a joke. She later said that she wasn't threatening him, but was expressing concern for her own safety. However, her statement set off an investigation and national security concerns. VP Sara alleged corruption. Allegations of graft and corruption against her also emanated from a months-long and televised House investigation on the alleged misuse of 612.5 million pesos, $10.5 million, of confidential and intelligence funds received by Duterte's offices as Vice President and Education Secretary. She has since left the education post after her political differences with Marcos deepened. She has also been accused of unexplained wealth and failure to declare her wealth as required by the law. She has refused to respond to questions in detail in tense televised hearings last year. The impeachment complaint accused Duterte of undermining the Marcos government's policies, including her description of the administration's handling of territorial disputes with Beijing in the South China Sea as a fiasco. The complaint also mentioned her silence over China's increasingly assertive actions in the disputed waters. Thank you for viewing. Click subscribe for me to create new content.